guys. All right, so welcome back to the adoption series. Today we're going to talk about sisterhood and my entire relationship from beginning to current with my biological sister that is also adopted. I do want to shout out the Jesus Loves You brand, coupon code down below, travel guide hat from my girl Mariah, and I will link both her website and her YouTube channel below. But let's get started with this conversation. So I wanted to make sure that I was being super transparent about every portion of this entire experience and just let you guys know that one, yes, if you haven't watched any of the other adoption series videos, I am adopted. Yes. Number two, I know my biological sister. Yes. Number three, she is also adopted. Yes. Number four, we have an amazing relationship. Yes. Number five, it was not always the easiest thing for us to maneuver and or currently manage. So I'm gonna start with the day that we met. All right, so we met in, I believe, the end of June, early July of 1999. Why do I remember that so vividly? My grandmother passed away at the beginning of June in 1999, and we actually received a condolences card from my sister and her adopted mom. Now I do want to mention that, like, we knew of each other previously. My godmother actually worked with her mom, so indirectly I guess we kept in contact that way. So then, you know, moving on throughout life, they actually reached out and sent a condolences card. That was a great gesture, and that pretty much was the beginning of our relationship. So they put their phone number in there. We actually called them. It was super exciting, you know, and I think a lot of it came from like their excitement about things, which made us extremely excited as well. So anyways, they pretty much scheduled for us to meet each other. I remember it was a Saturday. I actually don't remember anything else outside of, like, I have some pictures that if I figure out how to insert pictures, I'm going to insert them here. There's like one or two very cute, adorable pictures of my sister and I from that day. And I'm glad that our parents were adamant enough to document that day, because I don't really think me at 9, her at 10, we really realized, understood, or even acknowledged the magnitude of meaning that has been attributed to that moment at current. So yeah, so from there, and let me look at my notes just to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. So from there, you know, we started to establish a relationship. And I guess one of the things that I want to make very clear is, honestly, I don't think anybody involved, any of the parties involved, my mom, her mom, me, or her, really understood the energy and effort that it was going to take for us to have a relationship that would be equivalent to like what you and your sibling that live in the same house experience all the time. We were like magnified, glorified best friends. And I'm not saying that to minimize the sisterhood that we had with each other. I just think it was like a built-in best friend. Like, I knew I had her, she knew she had me. Fun fact, if either of us were like under punishment for something, our parents would actually still allow us to chat with each other on the phone. Not for an extended period of time, but they never let anything come in between the development of our relationship, which I appreciate. However, with that in mind, with me being 9 and with her being 10, you know, my sister and I actually had a conversation about that previously this week. And one thing that stands to be true even to this day is that we had already established our own little lives. You know, we kind of had friends, we had our own kinds of friends, we had our best friends. We just established relationships and friendships and connections with people, and they were people that we were going to organically be around on a consistent basis. We always had to make sure, you know, it's almost like when you're in a relationship with someone and you start to feel like you have to schedule sex, or you have to schedule a date, or you just have to schedule their undivided attention. And from a talking on the phone standpoint, that was very easy. But for us to actually have those face-to-face interactions, that was probably the part where the relationship lacked a whole lot. Now, we did a lot of sleepovers, we did a lot of activities together, we did a lot of, you come to this thing that's important to me, I come to that thing that's important to you throughout the years, you know, even holidays. I actually went on a family trip with her in high school, which was super dope. The first time I've ever been to the Smoky Mountains in life was actually with her and her family. That was a crazy experience. However, it was something that me and her can share together, which I appreciate. However, the downside to that is, the downside to kind of having your own world and doing your own thing is that it's exactly that, our own world. So it's almost like you're trying to fit this person into your space that you've already established. For me, I had an amazing relationship with my god sister, and her and I probably grew up more like sisters, but we also didn't grow up in the same house. So even with my god sister, it was still easy for us to kind of, I'm over here, you're over here. But with my biological sister, it was different. It was and it still is a lot of work just to be able to make sure that like I loop her into every aspect of my life, and it's not a forced thing, and it's just difficult to maneuver. I guess the easiest way to explain it is like, you know how sometimes like twins specifically, they go off to college and maybe they go to 2 different colleges, so obviously they establish their own set of friends, and so the nuances of how connected they were, the nuances of how much they always did things together starts to dwindle apart, because they start to dive into the things that they like that might not be what their sibling likes or whatever it is. And the crazy thing is, my sister and I actually are a lot alike, even though we didn't grow up in the same house. But I think that we respect the friendships that we have separate from each other. However, I do think that there's like this, I don't know about that. And you know, like even if we have personal opinions about each other's friends, that's not necessarily something that we share with each other, because we respect the fact that that's your friend. But even beyond that, I think it goes to like, so fun fact, my sister does not like when I call anybody else sis, because really, y'all not my sister, she my sister, and she don't like that. So every time, and like I know she's playing, but I know at the end of the day she like, no, cause they really ain't your sister, sis. And so I get that, and that's really funny to me, to be honest, because sis really don't play about me. So now let me get real close. When it comes to y'all who live in the same household and all that kind of stuff, and y'all think y'all really ride for y'all sisters and stuff like that, no, nobody rides harder for me than KP, okay? Just so everybody knows. But anyways, now that we got that out the way, it's one of those things where, like, you know, she's also an older sister, and again, we had a conversation this week, and she was just like, I just feel like I have to protect you, and I have to keep things away from you, and I have to shield you from stuff, and I just don't want you to have to experience certain things. I don't want you to feel certain things. And so with that, you know, it comes from a place of being a big sister, and I understand that. I just think that sometimes in our effort to do either of those things, we kind of like feel like, I don't know, but I'm gonna be honest, but I don't know, kind of thing. And that it's really like a crazy thing to explain to people. It's really one of those things that I don't really know how to explain to you, but literally it's what our elementary through high school experience was. Like, we did a lot together, however we did a lot separately. You know, that was the age of dating and getting into guys and stuff like that. And honestly, I don't really think we learned each other or started to understand each other or really started to connect with each other until we shifted into college years and adulthood. Like I said in another series, when my sister left for college first, it was a little difficult because she was on a different schedule. My access to her was limited, and we actually, you know, that was the era of like communicating on email and stuff like that, so that's how we communicated a lot of the time. However, then I got to college and I realized how difficult it was to maintain a relationship. However, for like quite some time, yes, we did kind of like play phone tag or just fall off the face of the earth for a couple of months or whatever it was, until we got to a place where, you know, we were trying to be somewhat consistent. But it was during that time that I think we really started to figure out ourselves, and then from that really start to let each other know like who we were as people, as individuals, as a woman, as a sister, as a friend, whatever that was. And the one thing that I can say that we're very different, so like if y'all know me already, Everybody gonna call me mean, and I don't care. Y'all can call me whatever y'all want, I don't care. However, if you know my sister, then you know that she is very much so not mean. She can be mean, but she's not mean. And the way that I describe her is, consider me as the nicest version of myself. Like, she is the nice, gentle one. She's very emotional, but in a good way. She's very expressive. She's big on energy. She wants everyone in the room to have a positive experience. Like, positivity exudes her. That is who she is. Now, don't get me wrong. I love being positive, and I want to exemplify positivity on so many levels. However, I will get you together, and I'm not with that friendly stuff. Okay? And that's just that. And that's just who I am. Whatever. I don't feel bad about it. I don't feel a way about it. It's fine as far as I'm concerned. The difficult thing about being an adult and maintaining my relationship with my sister is a mom, so she granted me the great luxury of being an auntie my senior year of high school. And my little nephew, I love him so much. He's like my first child, and he's so amazing. He's so bright, and he's just a joy to everyone that he comes in contact with, and I just love him, and I love her for granting me the ability to even love on a child that comes from her. However, as you probably can, like, give yourself a moment just to consider, like, she's a mom. She works full-time. She actually works 2 jobs, and she just has a lot going on and maintaining a social life and everything else. And you know, I am a wife. I work in corporate America. I maintain a YouTube channel, a podcast, and I'm trying to be a little micro influencer around here. But priorities and time for her requires a lot more than it requires for me. And so I think the one thing that is so easy to do, and it's something we've acknowledged, is it's so easy to be distant. And not distant in that I'm talking to you, you ain't talking to me kind of thing, and we in our feelings about something. It's just more so like time slips away. Like, I didn't text you today. And the other thing is, like, which is probably something that a lot of people may or may not be able to relate to, we actually communicate through text message a lot. Now, don't get me wrong, we do have our FaceTime phone calls from time to time, but consistency of communication for us is text message. And honestly, like, I have other friends that I talk to through text message a lot more than I ever talk to them on the actual phone or on FaceTime. And I think, like, it's whatever works for you. It's whatever method is most productive and conducive to a positive communication experience, as far as I'm concerned. So we do text a lot. We're on FaceTime or whatever, but it's very easy for you to get out of the routine of texting every day. Literally, she could have one other obligation that requires more time for her, that throws her time off, or the shuffle of going from one job to another, or just the other requirements of her day. Anything goes wrong with my nephew, anything goes wrong with her, just anything that requires her to jump through chutes and ladders to successfully maintain completion of whatever responsibilities and tasks. It's very easy for her to lose sight of that. And for me, it could just be more of a scheduling thing. Like, at the moment that she may have texted me, maybe I was in a meeting, or especially with working from home now, I think people assume that, like, you just have all this free time, but really, being at home sometimes just gives you the luxury to do more for yourself, that you start to, like, give people less of you. And it's not because anybody feels the way, it's just what's happening. And so I think that's the struggle for our relationship. But awareness is, like, the thing that I appreciate greatly for us, because I think we do realize that, like, this is something that we struggle with. This is something that we don't do well with. And we just realize, like, the great thing about it is, once we realize that we've gotten distant, then we just do everything we can to jump back into the normal groove of things and kind of keep things kosher that way. But I think, like, it's difficult to immediately just be granted a sister if you have a life. Now, if you have a life established, is what I mean. Like, you know, you already living your little life. You got your little friends. You got your relationships with who you consider your family. You've established connections, your church, your school, your neighborhood, even whatever that is for you. You know, you've already established those connections. You've already made those friends. And now to just instantly have someone added to your life that you're happy to have there, that almost fits in almost immediately, aren't really any struggles to kind of get everything to mend together. I think it's easy for you to realize like that's not the person that goes to your school, goes to your church, lives in your neighborhood, so you don't see them all the time. Holidays don't always mean that you'll see them. And honestly, we weren't seeing each other every weekend, or like it's not like now where you have FaceTime where it's almost like y'all just chilling together, you know what I mean? We only had telephones, and we only had the weekends that our parents didn't have obligations, we didn't have obligations, whatever. So the easily distant thing, it's one of those things that we learned how to be distant because we weren't constantly present in each other's lives. And so as adults, we have to constantly fight through that struggle just to be able to like make sure we're maintaining those relationships, and really to take it further, to make sure that I maintain a relationship with my nephew, to make sure that I'm present in his life, to make sure that he feels my presence, to make sure he understands I'm here for him. It's just a lot more than that. What I will say is that like I'm grateful for my sister, and I'm actually grateful for this experience because I think all the intricate details about how we maneuver our relationship from year to year, I'm noticing that our relationship is growing, our relationship is developing, we are learning more about each other, we are getting better about things, we are making adjustments to different things as necessary. And regardless of how we've gotten here, regardless of the difficulties, regardless of the experience as a whole, that's still my sister, and I appreciate the fact that I have her, because I realize that in a normal adopted situation, even if you have siblings and they were adopted too, the likelihood of you actually meeting and maintaining a relationship with that person is almost zero every time. I realize that my situation is unique. I appreciate that my situation is unique. I'm grateful for the experience that I have, and I pray that like our relationship continues to grow and develop more. Hopefully this discussion gives you some kind of clue, and it's confusing. So if you left here confused, then you definitely got what I was trying to tell you. Thank y'all so much for tuning into this episode. Make sure this is not an episode. Tuning into this video. Make sure y'all go check out all of the other adoption series videos and come back and watch all the other videos on my channel next time. Bye y'all.